So, Rogue One is just over a month away now, and I can now talk about the theatrical edition of Star Wars. Not A New Hope. We're talking about the original Star Wars movie, and it's one of those first movies that really influenced me as a child and really made me want to get into film, and really made me just love film. And that's why I love Star Wars so much. It's really played a big part in my life, and this is the movie that started it all off. Got my Star Wars t-shirt on, so let's get talking about just the pure awesomeness of this film. So straight away, we're introduced, and it's this shot in space after the opening crawl, and you're like, "Wow, that was pretty cool." Then you see this ship, and then this big star destroyer just goes over the top of it, and you're like, "I'm already on board." And we see the inside, and you've got all these rebel soldiers and these stormtroopers, and just straight away the door opens, the room fills with smoke. Who walks out? Boom, Darth Vader, the most badass villain in film history. And straight away, you're just thinking, yeah, this guy's got it going on. It's a force choke, and you're just like, I've not seen a villain this crazy and this badass and this just sort of cool in history. I want to be a Sith Lord, and just straight away this character, you're so engrossed in him. But what they do well in this movie is they don't shove the villain in your face. Darth Vader literally has, I think, 12 minutes of screen time in this movie. But it doesn't matter because unlike a character such as, let's say, Boba Fett, who has like a couple of minutes and a few lines, the guy is well sort of, how do you say it? He's well written, and he's the sort of character that you want to see more of, and you do gradually see more of him. But in this movie, it's just set up. But he's such a good villain in the short time he has that it doesn't matter. So straight away, you see Tatooine and R2 and C-3PO walking away, and you're just like, the shots are amazing. But the most amazing shot and the shot that set this whole movie up is when we're on Tatooine and we're introduced to Luke Skywalker, and he's outside of the hut, and he's just looking at the two moons on Tatooine, and you hear that epic like Force theme, and you're just like, I want to train to be a Jedi, man. I want that. And every time I see that scene, I just tear up, and it makes me so happy because I just remember seeing it in my youth and just thinking, this character, man, I love this character. I love this scene. I want to be this guy. And yeah, it's such an amazing scene. And from there, the movie just gets better and better. So we're introduced to Ben Kenobi, and this is where the plot kicks in. So Luke Skywalker's just this young farm boy living on Tatooine until he meets Ben Kenobi, and he finds these two droids, and he's like, "Yeah, man, your father, he was a really really great guy. He was a Jedi." And Luke's like, "I want to be a Jedi, man." And you find out about this plot, Darth Vader's plot to sort of, he's got this Death Star, and he's blown up Alderaan, Princess Leia's home planet, and he's kidnapped the princess, and Luke's like, we gotta go and rescue her. And that's when we're introduced to Han Solo, who's on Mos Eisley, and he is the coolest character in his film history. Han Solo, best Star Wars character, best movie character. No one can replace him. Don't care. I know the Harrison Ford, I know the Han Solo's movie spin-off's happening. Harrison Ford's my number one guy. I know he's spoken out about these movies, and he doesn't actually really like Star Wars, which is a shame. But I love him in this role, and I think he's perfect for it. So yeah, we're introduced to Han Solo and Chewbacca, and we go on our space adventure, and it really is great. The effects alone are really great for its time, but other than that, it's not the most like complicated story. But at the time, it was a story we hadn't really seen, and we hadn't really seen a film take place in space. And that's what this movie really does right. It gets all the space scenes right, and it gets all of the sort of on ground scenes right. And it's really hard to balance those two sort of, because when you're on Tatooine and you meet Luke and you meet Obi-Wan, you could say that's all filler and it's kind of boring, but it's not, because you get to know the characters and you get to know this home planet, and you're all like, yeah, I'm on board with this. But once they actually reach space, and it gets really exciting, and it gets even better. And you're just engrossed in this movie the entire time, and there's no taking your eyes off the screen. As ridiculous as it is, you've got all these stormtroopers running down the hallway shooting and missing every shot, but they're getting shot down and stuff like that. As ridiculous as that all is, it really does work, and they don't have to explain anything. It's just like, yeah, I'm on board. Scene that I really like is when Luke and Han Solo sort of go onto the Death Star and they're disguised as stormtroopers. it was really cool because you've never really seen that sort of people take on that disguise and get away with it before. And it was like, it's happened so many times now, but this was the film where I was like, that's a really clever plan, dudes. And you know, when they're trapped in the trash compactor and it's just closing in on them, you gotta admit, that shit was intense. R2D2 is a savior, you know. I think he saved their asses in like every film, probably. The dude's like the most legendary droid of all time. But yeah, I mean, you got your climatic battle sequence. Before that, actually, when they're on the Death Star, Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. It is the slowest fight in history, but it's such a good conflict. You know, we've seen Revenge of the Sith, and obviously this came out way before that. But if you watch Revenge of the Sith and then watch this and see how the fighting was so choreographed, but you watch this and it's so it's so slow and unchoreographed. It's different, but it works because they're just having a conversation while they're fighting, and it really works. I mean, apparently there's rumors that Darth Vader gets injured in Rogue One, and that's how he was so slow in this fight. But I think it was intense because of the way you're just sort of thinking, this is slow. They're having a conversation, but one of them is not going to get out of this alive, and it is of course Obi-Wan. And when he turns into like a pile of clothing, at first I was like, what the hell? But I think it's because he's now a Force ghost and he's sort of become one with the Force. But at first it is really confusing. But people argue that, no, Darth Vader, we see him at the end and he's getting burned. That's just his suit. He might not be in there. But anyway, so let's get on to the final climatic battle sequence, the Battle of Yavin, when they're all like sort of the X-Wings, they're shooting down this Death Star and the trench run. It looks so cool. The weirdest thing is that like a shot to the exhaust port could just blow it up in one hit. I mean, it'll probably get explained in Rogue One again, but that was kind of stupid. But other than that, I mean, it's such a cool battle sequence, and you've got like these TIE fighters chasing down Luke, and you're like, he's gone. What's going to happen? And then Han Solo comes out of nowhere in the Millennium Falcon, shoots them all down, and you see Vader in his little TIE fighter. Funniest line of dialogue. Sorry, I still am a bit ill, but the funniest line of dialogue is when you just see his face in the cockpit of the TIE fighter, and he's just like, what? And you see him blow up and spiral out of control. That was awesome. But yeah, I really, really love this movie, and the ending when they're all getting these medals, and you just feel this great sense of pride because you've watched these characters develop in the space of 2 hours. Except from Chewie, he doesn't get a medal. Chewie should totally have got a medal. But yeah, they're all like celebrating with these medals, and you just feel this great sense of pride for these characters, and the final Star Wars theme comes on, and it's just, wow, that was amazing. And then we get 2 more movies after that, but we didn't know that, like, people didn't know that at the time. It was like George Lucas thought this would be a massive bomb, and it turned out to be one of the biggest franchises of all time. So as much as people will bitch about Lucas and say the prequels suck, which they, well, for the most part do, George Lucas really did know how to make a good movie back at this point. And he didn't shove the villain down your throat like he has done. He didn't, like, shove much down your throat, actually. It was just sort of, you watch the movie, it was a simple movie. I mean, his special editions added a lot in that didn't need to be added in, and that's what shoves things down your throat. But in this movie, the theatrical cut, it was amazingly great. The characters were great, we loved them, we've grown up with them. Han Solo still remains to be my favourite film character of all time. Luke remains to be one of the better protagonists that you want to follow. And Princess Leia, well, she was hot back in the day, I guess. So thank you for watching this video. I absolutely can't wait to talk about the next 3 Star Wars movies. 4 if you include Rogue One, but I haven't seen that one yet, obviously. So I can't wait to talk about the next few Star Wars movies. And I can't wait for Rogue One now. We're just a few measly weeks away. So we'll still get weekly updates on these Star Wars movies. But thank you for watching, and I will see you guys soon.